Hey everybody, welcome back. It's another Muscatine moment with Tony Tone Lokensoul with Muscatine Power and Water. And we've been doing I don't know, a dozen or so of these episodes. And most of the folks we have right here in Muscatine, since the show is called A Muscatine Moment. Our guest today is a Muscatine native, but he is in Los Angeles, California, and he's with us right now. His name is Mike Bridenstine. He's a LA-based comedian, actor, podcast host, and author times two now, which is incredible, Mike. It's great to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me. MHS class of 98, best class ever. You heard it here
Wow.
first.
I had that written down, MHS graduation class, and then I was like, maybe I don't want to ask because people are weird about that. It's not like I graduated high school in '02. I don't hide that I'm 42. I'm old now,
Yeah,
but 98. All right.
98. Yeah, I'm 46. So, yeah. Oh no, someone might know my age.
Um, how long have you been in LA now? Because it's several years, right? Are you at the 10 plus mark?
I'm at 18 years
Oh my
here.
gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
2007. I was just talking to my wife about that last night because it's crazy how long I've been here.
That's outstanding. So you grew up in Muscatine,
Yes.
always a fan of comedy. Give us
Yeah.
for the people that don't know you, not I don't want you to give them the cliff notes, but we're definitely going to talk about the new book, but give us a little background on how Mike Bridenstine goes from Muscatine to comedy and acting and all of the things that you're doing and have done.
Sure. I was always a fan of it growing up. I actually had a public access show in Muscatine when I was in high school. So I like comedy was always on my mind, but I just growing up in Eastern Iowa, like I didn't really know where people did it. Like my parents would go see Roseanne or somebody like big when they would come through, like, the Quad Cities or something like that. But I I went to the University of Iowa and there was a weekly show at the Summit in Iowa City, like right there on Clinton, like right across from the old Capitol. And on Wednesday nights, my the girl I was dating at the time bartended at this place called One Eyed Jake's, and I would go there for cheap drinks, and then I would watch the comedy show. And I knew that the host was a senior, and so a senior in college, not a senior citizen or anything. So, so I was kind of like, when he graduates, why don't I try to do it? And so they moved the show. I started doing stand up there. And so it's kind of like I'm graduating. What do I do? Like, I want to keep doing this. I would go to Cedar Rapids to Penguins to their open mic. And the comedians that I would ask advice, and they were like, you have to go to a city.
Hmm.
You have to go to Minneapolis or you have to go to Chicago. So I went to Chicago for 4 years after that, kind of came up around the same time that a lot of famous comedians now are starting. Like Nate Bargatze was at open mics when I was there, and Hannibal Buress and Kumail Nanjiani and TJ Miller. Um, a ton of people started around that time, and then I started getting opportunities in LA around 2007 because of MySpace and stuff I was doing on there. So that brings me to LA. And when you do stand up, people are like, can you write? Can you act? And so it just kind of snowballed from me auditioning to be the MC of Comedy Night at the Summit in Iowa City in 2002. So yeah.
It's so awesome. And I love that right behind you on display is your first book, The Perfect Amount of Wrong, that focuses on that Chicago comedy scene, which came out a couple years ago and is a really great book. I have a copy of it. Let's talk about that transition or the desire to write. I mean, you certainly have written things for comedy and maybe sketch or shows, but a book seems like it's different, Mike. Like I haven't written a book. I don't know if I could do it. What spurred that other than capturing and telling the story of that era, which I love, but even still, there's a lot of work that goes into wanting to do that and then actually having a book that's on display and available for purchase.
During COVID, I had nothing to do. And my wife was still working a full-time job over Zoom. She
Mhm.
was in grad school at USC and was just constantly busy. And I had all of the free time in the world. And I felt like such a bad person watching her do all of this work while I was like kind of idle and like a layabout around the house. And so I decided I needed to do stuff, and I was already interviewing people for a podcast that was called Hunk with Mike Bridenstine. I believe, Mr. Lokensoul, you've been on it multiple times.
Fantastic podcast. I recommend people find it where you get your podcast. Yep.
And so I started compiling it. I'd always wanted to, people would always ask me, like, oh, like, how did that scene happen? And so I just decided to start writing it. And the fun thing about writing, actually, we mentioned our ages at the top. Once you hit 40, I feel like people just kind of let you do stuff. Like maybe they would before, I just didn't try, but like no one was like, "Hey, you can't write a book." Like
Right.
they
Yeah.
were like, "Why? You've never done this before, or what is this for?" But no one was like,
Mhm.
"Hey, stop that man." They'll just let you do it.
Yeah.
And then you can pitch it to publishers, that do similar books, or you can publish it yourself. I found a company that did kind of local histories, and I liked them, and they put it out, and then I pitched to them first for the second book, and they were happy to do it again. So I lucked out. You just sit down and you write it, and I had friends who knew grammar rules better than I did, and uh, yeah, you can just do stuff and people will let you.
So the perfect amount of wrong comes out, and you're in all the places you did a lot of interviews in the Chicago area, national podcasts like Tom Segura, amongst others. So tell us, that comes out, it's received well. Did you have the idea already for the next book, which is Kansas City Comedy, the unbelievable true story of Stanford and Sons, its outlaw owners, and the most infamous stand-up sets of all time? By the way, you couldn't have had a longer title for a book, I don't think.
I
I'm
wanted to
happy I
call
got through
it
that.
I wanted to call it Possum Kingdom because of a story that happened.
Sure.
They said no. I wanted to call it Paris of the Plains because the main guy, his name's
Mhm.
Kyle Paris, and they call Kansas City the Paris of the Plains. They said no. And for SEO purposes, they said, let's just call it Kansas City Comedy, and then the subtitle can be whatever you want. So I went ham on that subtitle.
You didn't leave any words out, I don't think. I mean, it's really good. But did
That's the
you
entire book. It's just on the cover. You read it, so
That's right. That's it. But did you go, okay, I did the Chicago comedy scene, or is, because I do know, and I don't want to give anything away, but it maybe the idea is spurred around that infamous story, not to give any spoilers, but walk us through that, because now you're almost becoming like the person that is telling these communities and their comedy stories. You're a historian all of a sudden. I like it.
Thank you. The way that I started researching one story, and I thought maybe I can pitch this. It's a story I wanted to tell. It's the most infamous open mic set of all time. It's a guy that I had met before, and
Mhm.
whenever I would tell the story, people would, be shocked and amazed. And so I found somebody who was there at that show that night. Her name is Andrea Kaspari. She's a comedian that still tours. She does like a teacher's tour, so they play arenas, like talking about being teachers. And
Mhm.
she was very gracious and talked to me and so helpful. And she's like, "Well, you know where this was, right?" And I didn't know. And so she
Mhm.
starts walking me through Stanford and Sons in Kansas City, which was the most infamous club I've ever heard of.
Mhm.
They, run by criminals. Like the guy wrote a book about his criminal life,
Jeez.
and it became so fascinating to me that the more I would look into this, the I would find like a new insane story. And so like I would, and people would be like, "Well, you know about Emery in the wheelchair, right?" I said, "No, I don't." So then I would just keep tumbling down these rabbit holes with the story until it became a book. And I think maybe because I wrote the Chicago book, I was comfortable like
Hmm.
in that world of like
Yep.
telling like the story of a comedy scene in a city, but that was totally, it just sort of happened. It just sort of just kept expanding, and the story kept getting crazier and crazier that I had to make it a book.
It's so exciting. I'm looking at it on my phone. I have my Amazon app open again. If you're just tuning in, it's Muscatine Moment with Mike Bridenstine, Muscatine native comedian, actor. He's got a second book that's out now called Kansas City Comedy, and then the longest thing after that. It's on it's on Amazon. His first book is The Perfect Amount of Wrong on the Chicago comedy scene. Um, how has the response been so far? Nikki Glazer hosted Saturday Night Live last week, and then she's given Mike Bridenstine a shout out on Instagram. So, I mean, people are taking well to it. People like Nikki must have had experiences in the Kansas City comedy scene. Like that's pretty cool. That'll help get things out there a little bit, right? I know you're doing other press as well, like this.
Yes. You are, I mean, people have been saying that you are the Nikki Glazer of Muscatine, so
Thank
I
you.
kind of, you host this show, she hosts us. Not like I,
It's
so it's kind
a
of,
lot of through lines. Yeah,
I
yeah,
put you guys neck and
yeah.
neck.
Well, thank
I
you.
did another Iowan show, Brooks Wheelan. I did his show yesterday.
Awesome.
Nikki Glazer started in Kansas City. And
Gotcha. Okay.
so she was very familiar with all of the stories that
Mhm.
I'm telling in here. The guy who ran the club's last name was Glazer, but
Mhm.
spelled differently than Nikki's. One is an S, one is a Z. The she's an S. The criminal is a Z. And by the way, I read the guy's book. It's called The King of Sting. It's about he was robbed at gunpoint in college selling marijuana, and then he gets a fake FBI badge and goes on a string of 33 fake sting operations
Wow.
to get revenge on the drug world. And so then he goes to Hollywood and pitches his story to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And Hollywood is like, "Give it to me." He's on the cover of Deadline. He's on the cover of the LA Times.
Mhm.
They're calling him and his partner in crime the next Butch Cassidy and Sundance. And
Wow.
so they they get a deal with CBS Theatrical. They get on the Today Show, and the Today Show said, "Let's film one of your drug busts with hidden cameras because hidden cameras were new in the early '80s." And so they do this, and they hand it in, and the Today Show says, "Well, this looks like it's fake footage." Because he did fake it. So Today Show pulls
Oh,
out, CBS
gotcha.
Theatrical pulls out, and they say, "No, we're the real deal. We'll prove it to you." So they find a drug dealer selling cocaine in Redondo Beach, and they go to sting him. There's three guys: Craig Glazier, who runs this comedy club like later in life, and these two other guys. And the two other guys in their fake sting get murdered in the sting.
Jeez.
And so everything goes away. Then Craig gets busted for cocaine. Like he lives this insane life going forward from there. But
Wow.
he writes this book, and it's called The King of Sting. And I read the book. It's free on Audible. Anybody can read it. 3 days after I read it, a book from 2008,
Hmm.
I was on Deadline, which is like entertainment news in Hollywood, and it says The King of Sting to become major motion picture. And I was like, what are the chances? And so
Wow.
I contact the director, and he says, "You're the only other person who cares about this." And then we talk about it, and he said he wants to like ground the movie in modern day, and you know, have the guy be like a comedy club owner who tells his own story instead of like this college age Robin Hood. And so he sends me to this article, and it's you know, he's like, "Pay attention to this part." So this DJ is interviewing him, and there's this other comedian that they're trying to promote this comedian's shows,
Hmm.
and the radio host tells him like, "You're never gonna get your movie made. Stop. Like your biggest regret in life is that a movie about yourself never got made." And they have this awkward moment, and he's like, "Read this scene. Like I think this is great." And so like I read it, and the comedian in the scene, his name's Nick Vatterott, and I met him in 2004 in Chicago. He's been a friend of mine for 20 years, and he's a prominent figure in the first book I wrote. And so that was the moment that I was like, this needs to be a book. And
Hmm.
so like I find out that Sinbad started there, and Eddie Griffin started there,
Wow.
and Nikki, and then there's just like a colorful cast of characters. It's I've done stand up for 23 years, starting at the Summit. I've met some of these people my first year in comedy at the Summit,
Hmm.
but in this book are the four craziest stories I've ever heard in comedy. And the first one I tell is in Iowa City at the first show I ever went to in my life as a senior at MHS. I went to the show with Kevin Velasquez and Travis Lee and Adam Small and my mother in 1997, and I saw Norm Macdonald walk an entire theater at Hancher, which caused a you know a local stir in Eastern Iowa. And then the Muscatine Journal was kind enough to give me access to their files for this book. So
Awesome.
I think Joel Kraushaar like hooked me up with that, and with the connection anyway. And so the Muscatine Journal does play a role in helping me with this book for sure.
Absolutely fantastic. And again, I don't want to spoil anything because we want people to check out the book. Available now, Kansas City Comedy: The Unbelievable True Story of Stanford and Sons, its outlaw owners, and the most infamous stand-up sets of all time. Available on Amazon and other places, I'm assuming, where people get books. We need to get you. There's a local bookstore called Greenpoint Mercantile, 2nd Street, downtown Muscatine. I'll have to send Candy, the owner, a message and tell her to get your book. That would be rad to have
I'd
it
love it.
there.
I'd love that. Yeah, I would do a signing, whatever the people of
Yeah.
Muscatine want.
Okay, so this is out. This is people can get it. I hope they do and check it out. And you're also busy on Instagram. You're posting all the time. You've got if people are in the LA area, you've got shows that you're constantly doing with very talented comedians. And then sometimes Mike Bridenstine will show up in a commercial with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, and not just one, like two of them now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what, I mean, I understand that, it can be when it's hot, and when it's not, it's not. But how do you get is it your agent says, "Hey Mike, they're casting for this commercial. We think you should go do it," and then you're hanging out with Arnold? Just tell us about that because those are really good spots.
Thank you. So I have a commercial agent. So
Mhm.
the agent just sends you out on like submits you for
Yeah.
commercials. Like I'm sure that like an agency will be like, we're looking for this, and then they send it out to the people who rep commercial actors, and then the commercial agent submits you, and then there's an audition. And so you and however many cities they're having these auditions, you go in and you read for it. I cannot remember what the audition was for Arnold. Like I just can't remember what it was. And then you
Mhm.
get a call back, and then you might talk to the actual director of the spot, and then you're on a veil, which means it's between you and another guy, and usually the director, the client, and like the advertising company are all arguing about it. And so they usually pick the compromise person, and it's and then you show up and you hope it's a campaign and that there'll be multiple. So I did one so the first time I did it, no,
Mhm.
the second time I did it was October of last year. I got
Mhm.
I Bill Burr did my show that night. I have a weekly show, as you mentioned. I
Yeah.
got 3 hours of sleep because I'm not missing Bill Burr doing my show.
Right.
And then I got 3 hours of sleep, and then showed up to shoot with Arnold the next day. And I was nervous, and I was telling my wife about it. And she's like, maybe one cool person at a time. And I was like, no, I want both.
Bill Burr and Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's just a typical day for Mike
Yeah, and
Bridenstine, I
when I
guess, right?
showed up at the makeup the next day, they were all very excited for me because I told them, at wardrobe it might happen, and so everybody was, I spent the whole day with Arnold. And it's not as glamorous as you might think.
Sure.
He doesn't like, you know, hang out with you
Right,
afterwards.
right, right, right. Yeah, he's there
But
for
yeah,
a job and to get paid. I understand that, but
yeah, yeah.
that's still an awesome experience. Plug the show that you're hosting. Is it Lyric Hyper? I don't want to get it wrong.
So the okay, that's a different thing. So
Different thing. Okay,
the I every Wednesday I do a show called Microdose Comedy. The
okay,
name has nothing to do with narcotics or anything. It's there was two guys named Mike who ran the show, and the owner came up with that name.
yeah,
But it's called Microdose Comedy. It's at the Fable in Los Angeles in the Eagle Rock neighborhood, and then the Lyric Hyperion is a comedy theater in the Silver Lake neighborhood that I manage a comedy club as my day job. And
nice.
it's like a fantastic historic club, and
Yeah.
yeah, we're really proud of that theater. And I started directing stand-up specials that are shot in the theater. So Yeah, if you're ever in LA, you want to see comedy, you could go to the tourist traps, or you could see, what's really happening in the city. Check out the Fable in Eagle Rock and the Lyric Hyperion in Silver Lake.
And again, I think for people that are going to watch this, Mike's also got some comedy specials that you can listen to. And one of them was filmed, right? Hustle was filmed. That's on video. Is that correct? From 2022? Or was,
There's a there. I ran that hour for Hustle at the Glendale Room in
okay.
Glendale, but I the actual recording is from the Lincoln Lodge in Chicago.
Gotcha. Okay. So like if you like for me, Apple Music has The Hungry Wolf Hunts Best from 2017 and
Shot
then
in at the mill in Iowa City. That's
right.
in Iowa
Yeah,
City.
and that's when because you were in studio at the radio station in
Yes,
Muscatine,
yes,
which
yes.
is now almost 10 years ago. That's weird.
2017. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then Hustle from 2022. Um, the specials, now two books. Is there a third book? Is there a special? You've got full-time job, you're married, you were just in Japan, I think, or
I
somewhere
was just in Japan. Yeah.
globe trotting. What do you want to do next? What's anything you want to share? Is it comedy special related? Is there going to be another book? I'm inclined to think that as you become this historian for comedy in the cities, that there's probably another one out there, right? Or more.
I mean, I had this conversation with my wife last night. I was like, after this book tour, I'm gonna feel like I don't know what I'm gonna do next. And she said, you always figure it out. You
Hmm.
always have like a next thing. And so I am very interested in doing Los Angeles because I feel like in the media, the only thing that seems to exist in people's minds is the Comedy Store, and that is just a tiny fraction of what it really is like here.
Mhm.
But I'm open to any and all things. Comedy's not my only interest, but I'm open to other projects. I would like to start directing. I want to continue to do anything and live many lives and see what else is out there.
I love it. You're rocking the Hawkeye hat too. I just noticed that. Shout out to the Hawks.
I'm going on Saturday.
You are because the Hawks
Yes.
play at USC. That's
Yes.
exciting. Good for
Yes.
you.
I'll be
Um,
rocking I'll be rocking a Canellis jersey. Shout out Alex Canellis. And then I have a Hawkeye starter jacket along
yes.
with this hat. I'll be decked out.
Is it the pullover starter jacket or
Oh
is
no,
it?
it's
Oh,
a zip up. Or
oh, okay.
it's a yeah.
It's a snap. It's a snap button
It's a
one.
snapper. It's a snapper.
We were my family and I had season tickets for the first time this year. So pretty good year for
Amazing.
that. Yeah,
Pretty
right.
good year for that.
Pretty talented team. Before we let Mike Bridenstine go, again, if you like what you heard and you want to learn more, Mike's new book, the Kansas City Comedy: The Unbelievable True Story of Stanford and Sons. It's outlaw owners and the most infamous stand-up sets of all time is available where you can get books. And then Mike's first book, The Perfect Amount of Wrong, talking about the Chicago comedy scene, is great. I have the new book in a cart on Amazon and it says it'll be here in like a day or two. So I'm excited about that, so that I can read it. And I probably should have got it and read it before this interview, but I didn't want to give too much away, um, because that's the point of books, right? You give them a little taste and then you want them to check it out. Um, I hope that two things. I loved your podcast, Hunk with Mike Bridenstine. You know that. I know that things take time and they're tough to do. I think you're a natural podcaster. I could see another iteration of Hunk coming back or a different podcast. I know whatever you do next, you will be successful because you have proven that. So,
Well, thanks,
um,
man. That's really nice of you to say.
yeah. And if it is a podcast, we would, I mean, we'll support whatever you do. But I did really always look forward to the Friday drop of the Hunk with Mike Bridenstine podcast. Um,
Thank you.
check out the book, check out the books, plural, the comedy specials, and then follow Mike on socials. You want to plug where you're at on like Instagram and stuff?
I'm at Mike Bridenstine, Bridenstine on Instagram. If you want to follow me there, it's really the only place that I do anything. It goes to Facebook, but good luck.
Yeah, I understand how that is. Thank you for taking the time. I
Thanks
really
for having me.
appreciate it. And I hope everybody checks out the book that is available now.